Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to 12th Street Talk Back, where transparency is our love language. Welcome, 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 one and all. It's your girl, Victoria J, with her sidekick, Miss Riri. How is everybody doing
Hi,
today on this
y'all.
beautiful Tuesday evening? We are back with some of our shenanigans. That's right. We didn't came out of the blue on a Tuesday night. We just testing this new thing out, just in the driver's seat, trying to figure out what we can do over here with all our shenanigans. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's feeling blessed on this beautiful Tuesday night. We're going to get into some things on our live stream. This is new to us. So, Miss Riri, mind your manners. You know, I can't take you nowhere.
Ooh, girl. I am not the one to be being taken any place.
I know, listen, but, I wanted to come on and I wanted to go ahead and um do this first live stream since I have put it out there to my audience on my listening platforms over on 12thstreettalkback.com and on 12th Street Talkback. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. I put it out there in my last episode that we were going to be testing the waters with some live stream. Today, we're just going to do audio only. And every now and again, we might pop in and you might be able to see us live. But tonight, the conversation I wanted to tap into was being strong women. And, the reason why is because I think sometimes strong women get bad reps.
That's for
And
sure.
talking to you earlier today, both of us are very strong-willed. We're very opinionated. As I was flipping through my notes today and contemplating doing this by myself, I said, as soon as you call me, what did I say? Well, you didn't call me. You
I
um
text her.
you text me and you was like, I ain't got no Bible study tonight, girl. They didn't cancel Bible study. I said, you know what? Let me get my bestie in here on
Hmm
some shenanigans.
That's it. That's it. I was
So
just
what's going
innocently
on?
telling you that my Bible study was canceled. I was innocent in this scenario.
But listen, I got to get you in on the shenanigans with me. I gotta get you. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Like I said, we usually come on Fridays, Freedom Fridays, girl chat with your girl Victoria J and Miss Riri. But tonight, we decided to do a pop up, a drive by. And we want to talk about navigating relationships with strong, incredible women,
Hmm
and not necessarily from a relationship standpoint and as a man and a woman, but you could even be strong in your friendship with family members, and sometimes you can be taken the wrong way. But I think, according to uh my definition and definition that I looked up of strong women, it says strong women often have a clear sense of self, their values, and their goals. Approaching them with respect for strength, intelligence, and achievement is key. Be prepared to be engaged in stimulating conversations, challenge each other's perspectives in healthy ways, and celebrate each other's successes. We also like to be listened to. Communication is key. We like open communication. We like transparency and honesty, actively listening to our thoughts and not feeling like we're being interrupted or trying to mix things up. Ask clarifying questions to deepen your understanding of what we're trying to open up about, our perspectives, and, our wants. Make sure that we're clear. We are clear communicators, and we can sometimes be assertive, but it does not mean that we want to be overbearing. I don't think that's what it means for me. I like to be heard, and I'm small. I'm 4 foot 11. I'm 4 foot 11, and small people, we like big things.
Mhm. That's the
And we're
truth.
we're loud. I'm loud, but I don't want to come off as overbearing. But I do like to get my point across, and I might have the little people syndrome. I'm cool with that. But as long as what I'm saying and how I'm trying to communicate with you, um, I can get my point out without feeling like, you feel like just because you're bigger or you may know more than I do in a certain area that I don't have a voice. And I think that sometimes strong women, we come off as too assertive, too opinionated. And I want to kind of clear that concept up a little bit. I want to
Okay.
talk about it from our perspective because you and I were having a conversation earlier and we had our different point of views. You were strong and stood on what you were talking about. I was strong and stood on what I was talking about. And I'm not going to bring the conversation up because that's something between me and you.
Hmm.
And but we still agreed to disagree. So I think that um especially being black women, sometimes we can come off a little bit too dominant in trying to get our point across. But we're harmless. We don't really mean, you know what I'm saying? We mean what we say, but we don't mean to come off as offensive.
Yeah, not viciously or anything like that. It's just you want to be able to be validated in your opinion without anyone walking away feeling like you are the only opinion and you're not open minded to anything else because that's clearly not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes that can be something that we contend with, especially if we have mates or if we're around other people with dominant personalities. It can come off as we're trying to be overly assertive or overly opinionated and trying to get our point across, our point of view across. And you know I thrive on being able to be active in everything that I do. Be active. I pride myself in doing the best job that I can do.
Hmm.
But sometimes I do feel like some of the things that I say can come off and be a turnoff because I'm
Hmm.
too strong about what I'm saying. And you know
Now,
me best. You know me
okay,
best. So,
and that's but when you do it and you're doing it with a good heart. So I get what you're saying. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily translate that way, especially if someone already has their view in their standpoint. They may not be open because when you like defensive, you walk in like let's say you run into a situation, you ain't even been in the room yet, but automatically and this is how I'm gonna act and this is how I'm gonna be and I don't wanna be you already have that preconceived. So sometimes when you approach a conversation, if someone automatically views that it's gonna be confrontational or that they have to stand strong on their word, they may not be as rigid. So
mhm.
I get what you're saying.
And we were talking earlier about setting boundaries, and that's something that I do have an issue with, even though I'm strong and dominant. Sometimes I don't set the right examples of boundaries, and it can come off as combative. And, we all are a work in progress. I'm a work in progress right now. And I can say that I hate saying that I'm a work in progress. I like to say that I am working on me because I feel like sometimes, some of the cliches that we toss around, like I'm a work in progress, we use that as a crutch instead of actually working on the things that we know we need to work on in our lives. So for me, I think setting certain boundaries have been a very difficult thing for me, and standing on my boundaries because, I was just having a conversation with my hubby. Well, I was having a conversation. I guess you could say I was talking and he was listening.
Duh.
And I said, I realized something today. I said, I realized that everybody that's in my close knit circle are strong, assertive, dominant people. It does not mean that y'all are not loving because I have a small group of people, but y'all all have a dominant, assertive personality. And I was like, how did I get here? Because I'm like a little marshmallow. And he kind of looked at me like, seriously, you're not a little marshmallow. And I said, I come off as combative when I'm trying to take up for myself or voice my opinion. So I have to learn to tone it down, say what I mean, and be just that. Just stand on what I mean and be able to agree to disagree. Because everybody's not going to agree with you. Everybody's not going to agree
Definitely
with what
not.
you're saying.
Definitely not. Nor should they. And I mean, in my opinion, you don't want to be in a group with people that's just always yes ma'aming you and going with everything you're saying, because in your heart, somewhere along the line, like that ain't right. Like what I'm doing right now is not right. Don't co-sign on that. So you just don't want someone who's always co-signing with you because they don't want to hurt your feelings, or you got to be real. So you should want to surround yourself with realness. At least
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I like
Yeah.
to be surrounded by realness because it keeps me grounded. Because God knows I need to be kept grounded. So I love being around people that's gonna really sincerely call me on things. That to me is when you're ready to grow. It's when you are okay with someone constructively correcting you. That's growth. When you understand that if someone doesn't agree with me, that doesn't mean that they don't like you. That doesn't mean that they're not your friend. That just means that I don't agree with you. I'm holding strong on my words. And as long as you can back your thing up, then go on that. That's you. Don't yuck nobody's yum. Your definition of something doesn't make it the only thing, doesn't make it right. Case in point, having kids, and like I do this thing called walkouts, and I would leave my girls with my husband. And I had to learn that my way wasn't the only way. Just so long as when I come back in the house, the same two girls is in this house as the same two girls as when I left this house, that's okay. He doesn't have to put them to bed the same time that I did it. He doesn't have to do the same things that I do. Just so long as the two girls is still in this house, they still breathing and they still alive. That's what's important. So we have to learn that our way is not the only way. As long as things
Hmm.
get done, that's what we have to decide what's important to us. So again, that's what was important to me. I left two, I want to come back to two. That's it.
Hmm. You know, that's true too. And that I think I struggle with that sometimes in everything that I do, not just in because especially if I get it started, I feel like it's got to go my way. I feel like that if I started it, I should take the lead. And I think that's rightfully so. But at the same token, if you're going into a partnership or doing something with somebody else, like you said, with leaving your two daughters, you said as long as you come back to two daughters,
That's it.
the way he handles it is the way that he handles it. And that's the same for me, I believe. But I can go about it a different way
Yeah,
and
we
not
just
be so opinionated.
you just got to be open to it. And again, you have to hear what someone is saying. And it's funny that coming from me, because God knows I am a over talker. And that's always, my brother says, my well, I say my younger brother, he's not younger than me, but of my brothers, he is the youngest. And he's like, yo, when you and Bomb, that's my older brother, when y'all talk, like both of us talk and we talk over each other and we talk loud. And it's just like, yo, But we get it and we have a great conversation and we understand each other. And then my other brother's like, yo, when you and Bomb talk, like, how does that happen? Like, how do y'all even hear each other? Because y'all both just talk. And again,
Mhm.
it's knowing someone's style. So I say all that to say, you have to know someone's style. Their style may differ from your style, but
Mhm.
that's just their thing, and you have to respect their thing. That's why you have to also know yourself and respect yourself, because sometimes we put ourselves in these situations that we don't necessarily need to be in. So it's just like, oh, they're stealing my energy. Then, okay, well, if you already know that that person is an energy stealer, then maybe you limit your time around them, or you limit the purpose of when you spend time with them. So we have to
You
know that stuff. We have to value ourselves.
you know what? I just said that to hubby. I just said those. It's like you
Wow.
took the words right out of my mouth while I was cooking dinner. I just said those words to him. If you're gonna steal my energy, and I wasn't talking about him literally. I said, but the group of people that I have around me that's strong and dominant, that I know that love me, it may be a day where I can't handle you taking that energy from me. Like my cup is not all the way full where I have enough to pour out to you. So I have to keep the level that I have until I fill up and have something to give. And he just kind of gave me this look, and I was like, that's the truth. Sometimes you have to limit yourself of being around certain people, certain things. Um, and it does not mean that you're a bad person. It does not mean that you can't be assertive about what you require, because that's the key word. The key word is what you require. And sometimes being a strong woman puts you in a position where you have to be assertive in certain situations, because people will take advantage of you if they think that you're a pushover. I have a lot of people that take my kindness for weakness because I choose not to tap in to certain, or be pulled in to certain conversations with them. I have a lot of people that throw underline little comments and think that I did not catch it. I caught it. I just didn't choose to play the word game, or it was just not that important to me to even let you know that I caught what you was throwing. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
mean, again, and that's why it's so important to know you, to know your energy level, to know where you're at as far as your cup. Is it running over? Is it at this point it's kind of running low? And that's when you avoid spending time with the zappers. Because if you already know that they're out to zap the time, to zap the energy, don't put yourself in a predicament where you have to be on if you're not necessarily in the predicament to be on. Don't force yourself to be more than what you are to appease someone else.
Mhm. Mhm.
Protect yourself. We are very, and all that, the strong woman out. I especially having daughters who are both differently able, having one who is, she's on the autism spectrum. I don't like to use terms like warrior moms and like super mom. No, I'm just a regular mother that might just be having a really good day today or a good moment today. Don't mean that I won't crumble later. Don't mean that I'm not looking for a good crying space tonight. Things
Mhm.
change moment by moment by moment. But I will say that I believe that God provided me strength within myself to be myself and to be okay with that. And that's
Mhm.
the something that will carry me over, as not necessarily like dominantly stronger, but it's just like, yo, she's not a pushover. Don't try that with her. Why? Because she's secure in herself. When you are constantly presenting that to someone, people take time to learn. It took time for you to learn how to walk. It takes time. It takes time, especially if you've
Mhm.
been one way for a certain amount of time and now you're changing. Everyone is not so open to change, but we know change needs to happen. Like, case in point, we didn't all just come out walking. When I mean, as far as I know, everybody that I deal with that's a human is not like animal form. They come out and they start walking and stuff. I grew up on a farm, so I know this stuff. But I say all like to say that was a change. You change
Mhm.
from crawling to walking to running. Like there were steps in that. and that was the change that you needed. But now when I change from this to that, then we want to speak on it. But is that not, it might not be the same exact change, but it's still change nonetheless. So bear with it, deal with it, grow with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Grow
the whole
with it.
thing. As long as you are fine with your growth, you grow with it. Let them catch up
Mm-hmm.
on it. And if they're not ready for you, then maybe that's a zapper for you. Maybe you
Yeah.
don't always need to be around that situation and put yourself in that situation if not need be.
Yeah. Truer words have never been stated. Good evening, Cheryl. Thank you for joining us.
Hi,
Um,
Cheryl.
you know, that's true. And in my journey over the last 2 years in my change, I was just explaining that to somebody yesterday that don't know me very well, that's getting to know me now. They got to know me over the last year. And I was trying to tell them I used to be that girl. I used to be that girl, and some of those traits are still there, and I have to choose whether the rah-rah is going to come out and what instances they are. And I think a lot of people, they like to poke the bear, especially when they can see the noticeable change in you, but they still want to poke to see if they get a rise out of you. And you have to be the bigger person. You have to be the bigger person at all times. And, you can't let them see you sweat, but at the same time, you don't have to be a pushover.
No,
You can be assertive and maintain that strong, healthy relationship that you have with yourself, because it starts with yourself. It starts with you having that strong, healthy relationship with yourself so that you can be a better version to someone else. When you walk in the room, we were talking about this a while back, when, with both of us being believers, when we walk in certain rooms, people can notice, they notice the difference. They see the God all over us. And a lot of people, um, can get intimidated, especially if you're a pleasant person and they know you to be something else. You see what I'm saying?
hmm again, that's why it's also important to be just to be true to you.
Mhm.
I'm that type of person where it's just like, she like, I was like, God, she just appears to be mean to me. I'm so far from. I am like, yo, you know me. I'm so far from that. If anything, I'm the person you want to be able to say that is my friend. She is down with me, and I'm not just saying that because it's me. I'm a really good person. I really
Mhm.
am. But if you don't take the time out, that's like judging a book by its cover. My cover might
Mhm.
not be for everybody, but it's a good read in between the pages. So
Mhm.
sometimes people get caught up in, like not necessarily knowing and just automatically judging or, oh wow, she's that now. Cause I remember back in the day, like seriously, we all got
Yeah.
it back in the day. What about your back in the day? Like seriously,
That's
come on.
that is so true. That is so true. We all have a back in the day, and nobody wants to go back in the day.
There we are. I would hope that we're all not back in the day when this is a new day, a new year, a new month, and a new season. This is a new season. Where I'm at right
Mhm.
now is not the season that I would have checked off. I would have never checked this box off. I would have never even stood on this line. I would have bypassed the line, the whole line. But guess what? This is the season that God had built me for all of this time.
Mhm.
This is where it was leading up to. So now I am on this line. I did check this box involuntarily, but the box is now checked. This is where I need to be. I'm going to
Mhm.
rock this season the same way I rocked that season.
Mhm.
Love
And
it?
people also
Don't.
have to understand that we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different perspectives. And again, it goes back to, you don't have to yuck my yum just because I don't agree with you, but my space, my time, the goals and the stuff that I've set for myself to maintain, Don't be poking around. We, like you said, we're in a new time, and not just a new time for 2024, but a new time as you grow with age. A lot of things come by maturing just with age. A lot of, we can understand where some of our younger generation is coming from because we've been there. But I'm in a season now in my life, I find myself reflecting back over some of the things that my mom would say. And at that time in my 20s and my 30s, I'm like, oh no, that'll never happen to me. But
Mhm.
now I'm like, I'm looking at some of my younger counterparts and I'm like, they just don't know everything that your mama said. Just
Please.
about everything that she said, even with the aches and pains that we were just talking about getting
Hot
older. And I told you,
flashes. All, yeah,
the
that's
hot
the truth.
flashes, the getting older, not being able to do certain things that you want to do. Oh, man,
That is the truth.
let me tell you.
That
And
is the truth.
I used to look at her and be like, "Ma, it ain't that serious." When she would say the arthritis and the gout and all of that was
Mm-hmm.
setting in, girl, she wasn't nothing further but the
Girl,
truth.
they be like, girl, Arthur here now. Arthur is just paying me a visit. You like, seriously? You gonna tell
Uh-huh.
Arthur to go home? Arthur.
Okay,
I'd
it's
be
true.
like, girl, Arthur here. Like, you
Uh,
ain't if you ain't invited, you better tell him to go home. Yo, Arthur ain't listening to yo. Arthur don't listen to you like that. He comes unannounced
yeah, he does. He really does, and he don't care who you are and
at
what
all.
stage you are in your life.
Who else is over? He don't care. He want presidents. He want attention. He want time. He ain't got no time to be worrying about what you don't want. He ain't got no time to be worried about all that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Well, we talked about earlier about setting boundaries and what that looks like for each one of us. Setting boundaries in relationships, at work, even setting boundaries for yourself. Me and you, we talk all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And sometimes I can get sidetracked. Like today, I was like, girl, I ain't did nothing I was supposed to do. I
mm,
ain't did no studying. I ain't did nothing. And that's something is a part of my 2024 that I'm focusing on, setting boundaries. And another one is I don't like to read directions. I don't like to
mm,
read directions, but I have had to slow down and read over a lot of stuff just to make sure that I get the full concept of what
mm-hmm.
I'm signing and what I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what your parents taught you. I can remember like my granny and my mama sitting there reading over every little document at the doctor's office. And I'm like, just sign it already. But now you want to read what you sign.
That's it. You ain't signing your life away. You've been on gave away a lot of stuff. What is that? Rumpelstiltskin, your firstborn child, and all this other kind of stuff. Don't you just can't be signing stuff over. You
You
just can't
can't.
do it. You
And
got to know.
that's a part about being strong too. And that's why I said I feel like as women, and not just black women, strong women get a bad rep for being strong because you know what you want out of life. You know how you want it. You know how to go about trying to achieve it, whether it's in God's will or not. You know,
Yeah.
you know what you want. And I think that, you know, some people, be male, female, that's in your life, they feel like you don't know what you want. We talked about that earlier today too, about some people needing guidance. Some people do need guidance.
That's
And
it.
some
That's it.
people, sometimes it could take just a word to get someone to think about something. You know, for me myself, I was having a conversation with someone a couple weeks ago, and she hit it dead on the nail. And sometimes I can't articulate what I want to say at that particular time the way someone else can articulate it. And she said, sometimes, especially in relationships as women, we just want to talk it out. We don't hold all that junk. We talk it out, whether it be VI with a friend, whether it be VI with our husbands. And sometimes we don't want any feedback. Sometimes we just want to be able to talk it out. And during our talking it out, we also discover the answer as we're talking it out. Sometimes everything don't require feedback, but it requires someone to have a listening ear for you.
That's why it's so important. You know, my favorite book when we were young, and what I gonna say today. Let's see if you remember. And yo, you couldn't tell me that book was like a Bible to me because it just laid down the format of men and women and how we think and how we're different and all this other stuff. And that's one of the things, like, the woman has a well and the man has a cave. And it's just like
Mhm.
we don't necessarily always want to talk looking for a solution.
Mhm.
Sometimes we want to talk because we want to vent. But a man, is his role and how he lives, he's a fixer of things, of people, like he's just a fixer. So where women, where we could just vent, oh, I had such a bad day. Da, da, da. We're not looking for our day to be fixed by you. I'm just venting that I had a bad day. But when you're venting to a fixer, the fixer is doing just that. Well, what can I do to make her day better? Let's buy her flowers. Maybe I can just tell her it's going to be all right. Da, da, da. Sometimes you're not necessarily looking for that. So, like, even like that mindset of like strong women, and I believe we all have our strength. We all have a strength, but we are all strong in a different way, in different perspective, at different time. That I get all of that that strength, but we just need to respect that of each other and not try to
Mhm.
take advantage when someone
Mhm.
is not necessarily coming across as strong. That does not mean for me that I'm weak and for you to now take advantage of me. That means that
Mhm.
I was actually thinking I was in a position where I could be a little vulnerable, where I didn't
Yes.
need to seek and display my strength all the time. I
Mhm.
just thought I could just chill for a minute and take this armor off. And that's what that's how I kind of look at things. Like, we have to walk around with armor so much, and you have to be on. And, so that's why I say the zappers. If you can steer
Mhm.
clear of having to suit up when you're not ready to suit up, because you got to be around people that you got to be on all the time. I know for me personally, I love my alone. I love my alone time. I don't necessarily always want to be on. I don't
Mhm.
always want, and especially if that's your profession or whatever, then that's great. But if this is just a social time or I just want my downtime. I don't
Mhm.
want to always have to freaking suit up.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
don't look at me like I'm being overly strong when I am on point, because sometimes I might just seem super strong because I'm feeling like I might be coming up against something that I can't
Mhm.
necessarily be vulnerable in.
Mhm. Mhm. You know, I was just telling my sister that a week or so ago because she was telling me that, you're so strong. I've always looked at you as the strong one. And I said, that's great and that's cute. And I appreciate that. I do humbly appreciate that. But sometimes the strong don't want to always to be in a suit. Sometimes I feel like I got to cry for 15 seconds when I really want to cry for 15 minutes. And I want to be able to lean on you sometimes. Just because you see me strong in certain areas, just because you see me being a go getter, does not mean that I always want to be on all the time. I wanna
Yeah,
let my hair down too.
it's underrated because you're overly rated in a sense. Me with the healing, the stroke, the aneurysm. Yeah, I would have loved to just sat there and just not been on. You get what I'm saying? But it's like you don't even feel like you have that time to be sick because life
Mm-mm.
still goes on. And I get
Mhm.
that. I pray to God life continues to want to go on and have me on this side of the earth with it. But sometimes you just want to get off the roller coaster for a minute.
Mhm. Mhm.
And unfortunately, I did not feel like I had that time to get off the roller coaster. I
Well, I have
felt
to
like
tell you
the
too.
ride was still going, and it was just like, well, dear God. So that's why you have to be like honest in that, and which I would, like, well, you know what? Do you do that? But right now, I'm chilling. I'm over here. I'm on the sideline. I'm still at the amusement park, but I'm not getting on that ride. Because I can't right now. You have to be
That's
well
true.
to yourself, for yourself. You have to be truthful because devil's advocate. Sometimes people only see us in a certain way because all they see is us in that suit. We always suited up. So they
Mhm.
automatically assume, okay, well, she can handle that. I did that to
Mhm.
you because you strong anyway. Well, guess what? If you
Mhm.
keep taking all that dumpage, all that baggage, then that's how they're gonna continue to see you. So sometimes we
Mhm.
have to value ourselves and say, you know what? Not right now.
Not
Not
right
even
now.
what all that added extra. Oh, well, I can't right now because of the, no, no, nope.
Not right
Thank you
now.
anyway. Nope. And have them standing there waiting for a further explanation.
I know that's
And y'all,
right.
it's cricket, 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 cricket. Because now we both just standing there. Because I ain't got no more to
I
say. But
know
nope.
that's right. I know that's right. I'm telling you, these days, like I said before, everybody don't want to be strong all day, every day. You don't want to walk outside and have your armor on all day, every day. But we do live in a society where it's like you got to stay suited and booted because you don't know which way, things are coming at you. Thank God I have true friends in my life, such as yourself, that I can take off that armor when I need to. I'm not afraid to say it. What did I call? Was it? I even got my weeks messed up. I called you what last week, and the conversation went as it was going to start off normal, and I just broke down because I needed that outlet. But I wouldn't have just called anybody to get that outlet because sometimes I may not want to hear just pray about it or girl you're strong. Sometimes I just may want to get that cry out. And I thank God for people like you because you said, okay, you go ahead and get that crowd. Now let's work on a plan of how we're going to deal with it.
Yeah,
And that made me feel better. And it brings me back to, doing the right thing for people. Just because somebody is strong and somebody it may or may not be going through something, you go through that storm with them if you love them like you say you love them. And I'm not talking about husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, just that. I'm talking about a friendship. You don't tell somebody that's going through something, I'm only telling you this because I'm keeping it real with you. You go through that storm with them. And when they come out of that storm and you're still right there with them, then you can tell them because it drains that other person too. I'm pulling from your cup. I'm pretty sure I pulled from your cup when I called you and broke down. But thank God your cup was full enough to whereas
hmm
I could pull a little bit from. And we weathered that storm together for that day. You pulled back a little bit the next day and you sent me texts or what have you, but I was in a better state of mind the next day. But I remembered everything that we talked about, how we were going to build on fixing that situation. You was willing to weather the storm with me, and I think that's what we need in
yeah,
this world.
that's for sure. That is for sure. That is, it's so needed, and a lot of times it's underrated, needed, where we feel like, oh, that's why I possibly don't necessarily celebrate that. Oh, I'm strong because sometimes people get it real twisted and
Mhm.
think that their strength makes them so vulnerable, like they don't need any. Like I would never. I would hope that I am never viewed so. Oh, you're so strong that you need no one. Because no, I am not that strong. Honestly
Mhm.
speaking, no one is that strong. Now, a lot of
Mhm.
us think we're that strong and we like to come across that strong, but that we could be that you can't be further from the truth with that one.
Mhm.
You need
Mhm.
someone. And
Everybody needs
I'm
someone.
not talking a romantic someone. I'm talking you need someone, however you
Mhm.
in your corner that you can be your true authentic self with, that you can let it all down, that you could just
Mhm.
breathe and rest in and take assurance that you need that.
Mhm.
You need
And
that.
unfortunately, you can't find that in everybody. And why should you?
Nor should
Why
you. I
should
was
you why
nor
should
nor
you
nor
put
should you.
right, why should you put all your trust into that somebody that you don't really know, somebody that you're getting to know? Every one of us should have a 90-day rule just to see how people are going to act in certain environments before you start to let down your guard a little bit. Because everybody ain't gonna receive you the same,
No.
man. They just
Everybody
not.
has a purpose though. Just like I said, you got some friends that you shop with. I can't go through a pet aisle with everybody. Some people want to just go in a grocery store and just get what we come here for. Coming with me, sure, we gonna go in every single aisle. Even before I had a pet, I was in a pet aisle. Like I had to go through every single aisle. I can't do that, nor would I do that with any and every one. I have my friends that I know, you know what? She wants to go and get what she wants, how she wants it, straight off the mannequin. So maybe we'll go to this store. Then I got some people that we can just browse all day long. And so now we gonna go to the store because we just sitting here. We not necessarily coming for anything in particular, but we hoping for a good deal. So it's just
Mhm.
like it's variations, and that's what happens when you put people in the wrong. I'm big on that lineup. When you put somebody in the wrong lineup, we feel like they let us down. Not necessarily. We just might have them in the wrong lineup. We may have
Mhm.
expected more from them than they are capable of giving. We might have wanted more from them than they are even put out there that they give. But that's what we want, so that's what they're gonna do. No, baby, it ain't always that way. Ain't always that
Mhm.
way.
Mhm. Mhm. You better know it. You better know it if you don't know it. If you don't know it within yourself, you better know it before somebody come along and make you realize it.
What? And tell you, because they might not tell it to you the way you want to hear it. That is the truth.
That is the truth. Well, I say again, I think that we can be strong, assertive, respectful, opinionated women without always having to walk around and carry that baggage and that armor. And I think all of us need someone that we can lean on. How did that song go? Lean on me.
Lean on me. Lean on me. But
you know?
that's the key to it all. You gotta, like I say, sometimes the cover is misleading, and it's a good read. But if I don't know you, that don't necessarily, I'm not walking around because I'm not walking around all chipper, chipper, chipper. But my personality, if you get to know me, I'm very rambunctious. I'm very sardonic. I have that's just me. But if you just stick around long enough just for the cover, you're gonna miss a good read because you're gonna be like, oh, you like her? Like
Mhm.
when I seen her,
Mhm.
she was just. It'd be like, well, I can't believe that's her. Did you have a conversation? No, I ain't even bothered to talk. Well, there we go. Like already,
Mhm.
like did she know you? Like that was your first meeting? Well, she ain't supposed to reveal all that like that. You got some
Mhm.
people that you automatically click with. Then you got some people that you got to warm up to. Then you got some people that y'all don't warmed up long enough to know that this is not that person for me like that. But she can be
Mhm.
in alignment for this, but she just can't be in alignment for that.
Yep. And that's so true because I was overly friendly. You know that yourself when me and you
Hmm.
first started our relationship and you was braiding my hair. With that being said, I started putting people in compartments, and some of them don't like it, and it used to bother me, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I'm saying it to be true. That's not my problem because anything that disturbs my world and I can't deal with you over here on the left, but I can deal with you over here on the right because I got time today, then that's just what it's gonna be for me. That's
That's it.
just what it's gonna be for me.
It's
I don't
that's
have
how it
time
has
to
to
be
be.
exhausting energy because being upset and agitated and anxious and all of that stuff messes with your body, man.
It
It
does.
causes more damage because everything that we receive through the natural eye, from the brain operates everything that's going on in our body. And
Hmm.
it knows when you're stressed out
It's stress.
and
Yep.
anxious and mad, and I just don't have time to be tearing down my body no more than I already
Well,
did.
Lord knows, I know I personally did enough damage to my body on purpose, and it, having fun. Anything that I'm gonna be held accountable for, it's gonna be for my doing. I'm not gonna be held accountable for what you did to me, what I allowed you to do to me, or what you stuck in to do to me. Like you, again, you have to guard yourself. You have to protect yourself. You cannot always have yourself so out there to be what else. Like I said, it's I think I want to think maybe it was today. Anytime that anything's happens, like all these mishaps keep happening to you, but you keep putting it on somebody else, that's just
Mm,
giving them entirely too much power and entitlement. So
mhm,
basically, you take no ownership for any of that stuff.
mm,
Or I just keep meeting the same people over again. So like
mm,
somewhere along the line, that's not you always being that same person. Like if you keep attracting,
mhm.
like let's start taking accountability. So
Yes.
again, I that goes back to saying you have to know yourself, respect yourself.
Mhm.
You just have to be truthful about a lot of things.
And you gotta
We
take
might not like it,
accountability.
yo. We might not like it, but that's the truth of the matter. In order to really get a good fix on it, where we not just surface cleaning, because that's we're good at surface cleaning. You will keep running into the same thing over and over again when you're just surface cleaning.
Mhm,
Yo,
mhm.
sometimes you
And
might
I
have to
used to be the
actually jump out of
accountability
bed.
queen. And that but that's the thing about it too, and you're right, sometimes you do. But I used to be the accountability queen, taking accountability for stuff just to appease someone else. I had to stop doing that. Being strong doesn't mean you take accountability for everybody's fault, whether it be your spouse, whether it be your kids, whether it be that friend. You take accountability for the things that you know that you're at fault for. You stand up, you put on your big girl's drawers, like we say down here in the South,
Mhm.
and you take accountability for that stuff that you bring to the table. Because you know what? It could be a full table and everybody didn't contribute a meal to that table. And
Mhm.
everybody ain't gonna leave with an empty plate. They're not just gonna browse that table and not take something off of it. So take back what you put on that table. Take that accountability and learn to be a better person, especially if you're pushing your way in someone's life. When you're pushing yourself in someone's life and you assist on being a part of their life, then you need to take accountability. Turn that mirror back on yourself, especially when you know you done did somebody wrong. And that's just it, and that's just all. Man, just
That's
stand
it.
up and put on your big girl's panties. Because sometimes you might actually learn something about yourself that'll make you not go down that path anymore. As my grandmother used to say, go straight and turn right. If there's anything that you know that's not pleasing in your life, well, she was saying it pertaining to God. If there's anything in your life that you know that's not pleasing unto God, your heavenly Father, go straight and turn right. Try to clean that mess up. Because
That's it.
everybody don't get a second chance, and you and I are both witnesses to that. Like when people really start to look at their life and see the things that they are doing, then they'll make a difference. They'll want to change those things. You're going to want to change it for yourself. You're going to want to change it for yourself.
That's the hope. Like the old saying, for every one finger you point, there's four more pointing back at you. You got
Mhm.
to, that's just real talk. And of course, back then we don't want to hear it. It's like that sounds so stupid. Like that, a lot of things it do have a lot of sense. And sometimes things may have been said and it seems so simple to say, but it's truth in the matter. It's like That's where we get caught up with not taking things so literally, like it's a figure of speech or whatever. Like, think about this.
Mhm.
Just think about it. Basically, I'm saying marinate on this situation because the situation didn't happen by itself. Like that person can't be the only person at fault. If you was there, it takes two to tangle. Like you were both
Mhm.
there. What was your part in
Mhm.
it? Well, I didn't have no part in it. All I said was, okay, bam, there we go. Like, you did have a part in it. You
Mhm.
stood there long enough to say. So sometimes take accountability. That's it.
Mhm.
Don't make it right. Don't make it wrong. You can't. Nobody's young. But again, you were both there. You both played a part. What was your
Mhm.
part? Now
That was your
fix what
part.
you can fix, and that's only you. That's only your part. You're not.
Mhm.
Nobody's really sitting there. Well, at least no one should, nor should you allow anyone to sit there and make you feel at fault for not fixing or changing someone else. That's not what you're here for. Fix
Mhm.
you. Before you go out
Mhm.
trying to fix somebody else, what's going on with you?
Mhm. Mhm. I read that in your post yesterday. Before you try to fix someone else, you got to fix yourself.
Got to.
And that is so true. I do say, however, if there's parts that you've worked on that you know that it can work for somebody else, share, man. Whether they receive it or not, that's not on you. But you shared your experience. All of us have a testimony. All of us have something that we go through. All of us have, especially us women, especially us women, we have a laundry list of things that we can teach one another. Our problem sometimes is we got to get out of our own way so that we can help that other sister. Because you never know what you might say to someone to change their mindset, to change their
You
mindset about many of things.
That's true. You never know. Previous. I know when I'm coming home and like you don't know who's going to be the one that's going to help you. You just don't know why somebody's in your life, and the person that actually called the ER for me, the ambulance for me, she ended up down like this is some years later after we met being best friends. I call her like she's younger than me, so we joke like her mother is actually closer to my age than she is, but her daughter and my daughter are best friends. Later on, as we got to know each other throughout the years, I became her daughter's godmother, and so she was always like, where you going, Miss Irene? Wherever you going, I'm going. I'm like, suppose I'm going to jump off a cliff. You come to jump off the cliff too, So we would like always joke. She was always under my butt. But thank God she was, because when I fell out, she was there. And she was Malika's aide at the time. And she was the one who called there. So that was the why of it all. That was the
Mhm.
why of it all. So sometimes you
Mhm.
got to give room. You don't have to know right now today. You don't have
Mhm.
to know the why to it all. But
Mhm.
just know if it's there, if it's presented itself, it's for your favor. So make it make sense. Don't just have
Mhm.
a zapper in your life and
Mhm.
it don't make sense. Don't just have
Mhm.
somebody who's constantly around you and it just don't make sense. We
Mhm.
started to make sense of our situation. Like I said, it started out, we met when our kids started school in kindergarten. Our kids are now going into the 10th grade. So this is, and that to me, I would say it's a short, it's a nice length time friendship, but if you compare it to the length of time that you and I have known each other, whatever. So it's not that long of a span, but what we have gone through, oh my God. The fact of her calling an ambulance, me falling out, and literally like almost dying in her face. You know what I'm saying? That adds on years in itself because the level of that relationship. So again, that's why I say sometimes you got to give things a chance. But with that being said, don't stick around in something forever. Like, no, I stayed in that abusive relationship because no, baby, it's taking too much from you. That
Mhm.
doesn't make you a
Mhm.
great martyr. It's taking too
Mhm.
much from you.
Mhm.
Don't let things
Mhm.
take from you.
Mhm. And we talk about that all the time. We talk about people taking from you, and it just doesn't have to be an abusive spouse. It could be an abusive friend. It
That
could
part,
be an
that's it.
abusive associate. It could even be your children. You know,
Yes.
I just got to keep it real.
I
And
tell my
with
kids all the time to cut you sorry to cut you off, but it's like you can hold what I said and know verbatim what I promised. But didn't we both have a word that we were supposed to keep? What was your part of this? Okay, you don't remember now what you said, but you know
mhm,
everything I said that I was gonna do.
mhm, mhm,
Did you renege too?
mhm.
Okay,
And it works
so
both ways.
I'm never supposed to renege, but you can renege.
Mhm,
Not cool. So that's why you have to be fair to yourself. The same way you would
mhm,
be fair to even a stranger on the street. You have to be fair to yourself.
mhm.
Give yourself
That's just
grace.
like
Give yourself kindness. You have to.
I was just telling my husband, you know, right after me and you got off the phone earlier today, I said, I do recognize that I have strong people in my life, and I do love that. I do love that. I have strong, assertive people in my life, but at the same time, I don't want you walking all over top of me. I can't allow you to walk over top of me, especially if I feel strong in something that I'm standing for. You may not like it, but the problem with people saying you got to agree to disagree, most of the time that don't happen. Most of the time, that's just words coming out of people's mouth. They don't really agree to disagree. They really don't, because if you did, you would take that other person's feelings in consideration when you say, "Oh, well, let's just agree to disagree." I don't need you really trying to prove your point to me if I already told you and I'm affirming that that's not something I wanna do or say, or that does not agree with my spirit. Just let it go, especially if you love me like you say you love me. If you my
That's it.
friend like you say you my friend, just let it go. Me and you have had long periods of time, years, that we have not talked on the phone, and it was not because we didn't like each other, it was because we are just such close friends, we could have a 3-year break and pick up and like we just talked yesterday.
Hmm.
And we don't agree on everything. I done told you
No, you're
things on my
supposed to.
mind, you done told me things on your mind. I mean, but at the same token, our strength is still there, and you have to be respectful of people's thoughts. You have to be a respectful of where they're at in their life, whether you agree or disagree with their choices. Because
Yeah.
most of the time, people are going to realize, and if they don't want to realize it, it's because they chose to. They probably realized it and chose just to roll with the punches, or they probably just have blinders on. I'm a little slow to the uptake sometimes, and that's not to put myself down, but sometimes I can be a little slow to the uptake. But when I catch it, and if I feel like you've been doing it for a long period of time, we gonna have an issue. But we not gonna have the issue in the way that I used to handle it. 'Cause I might just back all the way back from you and just deal with it that way. Cause I don't have that type of energy anymore. I don't have that. I'm not coming on that type of time, and I don't have that type of energy anymore. And a big misconception is when people say that they are Christian. We put on our clothes, we put on our pants one leg at a time, just like everybody else. We go through problems, difficulties. We got the same problems, the same issues. The only difference is we choose to live our life in a certain way. Now, does that mean it's going to go that way every day in our lives? Does it mean that we're not going to fall out with people, and even in the churches, outside the churches? Does it mean we're not even going to get a divorce or separate from our spouse? We go through the same issues that everybody else do. We just choose. We're trying to choose to be obedient to our Heavenly Father. And I think that's a big misconception when it comes to being out there. And, you know, I was talking to my auntie in Bible study this morning. She says it's all in what you choose to allow people to know about you. And when you put yourself out there on certain platforms, you have to choose what you want to put out there. And you don't have to make your life an open book to get your point across.
That's the truth. That's the truth. It's not even so much that you're trying to shelter or hide off anything, but everybody doesn't need to be privileged or privy at, the instantly on certain things.
Hmm.
Get
Hmm.
to know me.
You got to slow walk that thing.
Sometimes you have to know if somebody's going to be worth it to be around for the long haul.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because you could put so much energy and time. That's how them live. I like to say them tell-all books. You never write a tell-all book on me because I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it.
Right.
So you sit there, you get to telling all these secrets and all you invest all this stuff, and then you're no longer friends. So then you got to worry about, are they going to tell? Are they going to? That's why you got to invest your time and patience in a relationship. So like I said,
Mhm.
sometimes you just feel like that instant click. But even in that instant click, you better instantly be as smart. Don't go giving away the milk for free. Have them buy the
Mm.
cow, as they would say back in the day.
Oh, yeah, they did say
Don't
that.
sit there with diarrhea of the mouth. And sometimes we are guilty of having diarrhea of the mouth.
Mhm. I know I am. I ain't even go I ain't even gonna lie. I don't because my thing is transparency, and sometimes I can be overly transparent and overly passionate about the things that I believe in. Shouts out to Chronicles of a Virgo. Some things I can be over passionate about. Sometimes I try to be too transparent, especially with the podcast. I do that a lot, but I also believe that all of us have a story, and maybe somebody can learn something from your story. But I also believe, just like you said, you got to watch people and you got to set boundaries. You got to have that 30-day, that 60-day, that 90-day rule. I mean, look how long it took for you and I to build a friendship. It took years just because we mess with each other. We didn't mess with each other on certain levels. And we talk about that today where I'd be like, girl, you did that. And you'd be like, mm.
No. But that's this real talk again. That's alignment. We didn't meet to be busy. That's where a lot of people get messed up too. We met because you were my client. So I was not instantly supposed to embrace you like, well, this is gonna be my new best friend. And I wasn't even in the market for a new friend, let alone a best friend. You know what I'm saying? You were my
Hmm.
client.
Hmm.
So that's how things are supposed to work gradually. Look at the longevity in it. It went from us doing here to like, I'm going to the club, but you want to go to the club? I need a ride to the club. Will you drive me to the club? I'm going to redecorate my bathroom. I know I'm not going to use it again. You want my own bathroom set? It's like little things like that.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
supposed to, like, that's marinating the meat. You don't instantly take the meat out, cook it, and you marinate it.
Hmm.
You let it sit. You let the seasonings blend. It's like making a good lasagna. You let it sit. You let it marinate, and this got to marry this, and the sauce marries the cheese. And yo, you gotta put the same time and patience and energy in any relationship, whatever
Hmm.
stage, like a romantic relationship, a friendship relationship, however you want to look at it. It's still a relationship because we're
Hmm.
talking hours, years, months, days with this person. So it is a
Hmm.
relationship.
Hmm. And you got to build off that. And I think in categories, when we talk about compartmentalizing and putting people in different compartments, I think for most of us, if you're living in a realistic world, you should do that with people that you meet, especially if you're going to have long term dealings with that person or even in a relationship. when you're trying to get to know someone. I'll be the first to say I've jumped in and out of relationships that I really didn't get to know that person. And it's sometimes as you get into that relationship and be with that person for a long period of time and layers start to pull back, you might have should have just been with that person in
Mhm.
that season. It may not have been meant for long term, whether it's a relationship between a man and a woman or a friendship. Sometimes people have seasons. I've got a girlfriend now that I'm not going to mention that we had a 30-year season, and maybe that season just
That was
lasted a little bit too long because as I looked when I woke up one morning, it was nothing she done. It was nothing that she said. It was just her, being stuck the same person day in and day out. And I felt like it was just being bitter all the time. I knew that was something that I did not want to be around all the time. I didn't want to grumble and moan and pout and be mad. And I got to be mad because you mad at that person. That's
mhm.
something that I didn't want from me, and it was starting to get on my nerves. It was really starting to take a weight on me, and I was having conversations in my head about how I could have the conversation with my good sis. Now, you and I, we can have those conversations, hash them out because we know where we each other coming from. We know you know what I can take mentally. I know what you can take mentally, and it's like ringing a bell in a boxing ring. You go back to your neutral corners, you sit down, you get a little bit of rest, and you come back and you do it all over again. And sometimes both of y'all just say draw.
That's it. Got to. You know, my famous is a fixed fight. It's a fixed fight. You got to look at everything and declare yourself already the winner. And that don't mean that your opponent is not sitting here declaring the same thing. But winning is not the same for us all.
Yeah.
The
You
meaning
always talk about
is just
certain
not.
levels in our life, and everybody are not meant to go on certain levels
No.
with you.
Pass the
There's
baton.
certain things girl. And when you said that, that was so true. Certain people are not meant to go certain places with you, and what works for someone else may not work for you. It just may not. And it's okay today. It's
Hmm.
okay today. And you got to know who to take with you. And if they going to be baggage, you might want to leave that baggage right there at the
Girl,
airport.
my. I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna say the word because I ain't trying to vote. But you know my thing. Sometimes you gotta leave people alone because your girl, she was leaving, and that wasn't gonna work out for what she was trying to do. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna catch you on the next trip. I can't take you on this trip because we got to be quiet right now, and you might not be
Mhm.
that person. Safety might
Mhm.
not look the same to you as it is to me because I got other people also on this trip. So maybe
Mhm.
we just need to do a you and I trip because you are
Mhm.
not the right fit for you be in 15 others. I just
I ain't even
can't.
go. I ain't gonna walk through that door because I know you too well. I ain't even getting ready to walk
I just
through
can't.
that.
I just can't. So I'm gonna see you
Oh
next time.
gosh. With that being said, we've been on here rapping for about an hour. I will say this though, just because you know what you want, you got your mind made up, you got your goals aligned, you got everything planned out that you want to do. Don't let anybody take your power. Being a strong woman coming from whatever background you come from, it does not necessarily have to mean that you're a bad person, that you're a mean person, or you're just boisterous. It just means you're sure about what you want. You're putting your intentions out there clearly. And if people can't accept that from you, then maybe you might need to go left and let them go right.
That's
And
it.
it works out for everybody because everybody has a peace of mind.
That's it. I mean, if you're meant to be, then God knows you'll come back and be just as strong. Like you said, 3 years later, like to pick up like ain't nothing ever happened.
Cheryl says sometimes you gotta leave a kid or two, but I
What?
can't.
You think not? You think not?
Oh
That's the truth.
gosh,
That's real
I
talk. That is
can't.
real talk.
That is real talk. Sometimes, shoot, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Well, we don't know what 2024 is going to hold, but I tell you what, my word for 2024 is action. That's all I'm requiring out of myself is action. Put one foot in front of the other. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that is in every area of my life.
That's it. I had since in the planning world, we do the one simple word a year. So I started like in 2018 of different words, and my word I said this year my word is ebonics because it's be radical action. And the reason I went with the Ebonics thing is because a lot of the words that went into my final lineup were re words, rejuvenate, reactivate. Like a lot of re. Stepping back into a lot of things, like starting to travel again. It's re. It's reviewing. It's just a lot of re. But I wanted to be radical in everything I did. And I use that word radical a lot. Like, radical, like, yo, I just be radically. So to me, that was it. And of course, action is just me. I love to say that I'm action girl. I'm not a word girl. I'm not going to say I'm going to do something and I'm not going to do it. That I'm almost to a fault with that action. The name of my organization is our happiness movement. So it's just about action. It's about moving. It's about doing. So I just combined that together, and that's my Ebonic one. I had to because you get one simple word, so I had to cram it all together, and it's radical action. So I made up my own Ebonic word.
Well, amen to that, sister. And to put one nail in the coffin, what is your favorite saying?
Which
Man
way? Fix change.
plans.
Oh, okay. I'm like fix change a fix fight, fix change ain't no robbery, and man plans and God commands.
That's
So
right.
smile. So
So
y'all, you don't
smile.
find me saying nothing else. It's that. That's
and
it.
and that's my that on that that is my cue, my one for the one that I stole from you, and you would hear me say it a lot this year is fair exchange ain't no
Ain't
robbery.
no robbery.
with
That's it,
that
y'all.
with with that being said, guys, peace and blessings to you guys. Thank you for joining our first live stream. I will be coming to you more this year as I need to get out of my box that I put myself in, taking
Mhm.
accountability for the box that I put myself in, because nobody can put you in a box unless you allow them to put you there. So, with
That's
that
it.
being
Dirty
said,
dancing
you
for the
guys check
steps.
us out. Check us out. Sometimes it may be me solo. Sometimes it might be my bestie. Sometimes it might be some friends coming on with me. You just never know. I'm still figuring this whole live stream thing out. I forgot to pin this time where you guys can come up on the stage and join us. So the next time I'll have that up there where you guys can come up and join us. And don't forget, do not forget, we got a 2024 leadership conference going on in the Carolinas. I'm going to be pinning all that
Mhm.
information all year round to all of my platforms. You do not want to miss it. We're going to have a good time, some good information. It's a 2 days conference, and your girl get the MC.
I
So I'm
can't
getting my
wait.
pinky toe wet.
I can't wait.
Peace and blessings to you all. Until next time.
Bye.